What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now you may be asking yourself, why do I look so excited? I finally am going to throw on some big wheels and tires. I've had them for so long and I've been so curious and so excited to see how they're going to look on this thing with these axles in this Land Cruiser. So I got a set of 40-inch tires on a set of Beadlocks. I am absolutely stoked to throw them on. We're going to roll them in here in a second, but first I want to kind of give you guys an update on the driveline issue from the last video. I just got this axle in place and I took a peek at the driveline. It looks like it was going to hit the frame. Now I went through and I just recentered everything, made sure everything is perfectly centered with the axle and the frame and everything, and I actually had to scoot the axle over basically away from the driveline, away from the frame, maybe like a 1/4 inch, and now it's perfectly centered. And now I have just enough clearance. There's not much, but there is enough clearance from the drive shaft to the frame. But another thing, I do have to retube this driveline to make it longer. It's about 6 inches too short. So I was thinking I'll probably go with like a 1/4 wall, which is gonna end up being a bigger tube to have the inside diameter the same and then go a thicker wall. So this is probably like 120 wall. I'm not even sure. This is a factory Jeep driveline, so it's probably not that thick, but like I said, it's going to be a little bit bigger. So I'm hoping that's still gonna clear. If I do have issues, it's so close, it doesn't really pay to do like a 2-piece drive shaft. It doesn't really pay to go through and shorten the front axle, because then I'll have to go and shorten the rear axle. That requires custom shafts. That's a lot of work and a lot of money for maybe a 1/4 inch of clearance issue that we have with the driveline. So what I'm thinking, this might sound a little ghetto to some of you, but this is an off-road rig. It's not going to matter at all. I could scoot the axle over a 1/4 inch. That's not going to matter. I could also trim the frame a little bit. This frame is going to be plated from the front of the frame all the way back to basically the first body mount where all the links are going to mount. It's going to have an extra plate on the whole front of the frame, so I don't feel bad about cutting like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch even out of basically that corner of the frame where the driveline is hitting, and plate that with like 1/4 inch plate. That is going to be probably even stronger than factory, so I don't have an issue doing that either. So I think with a combination of maybe moving the axle just a little bit and trimming that frame, we're going to be just fine. There's not going to be any downsides to that. So either way, let's climb under here real quick and I'll show you. I actually got a laser and I lasered up from the drive shaft to the axle. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to see under here, but we got this laser here. So I got it set up on the drive shaft. Let me get this light. There we go. You can see the drive shaft. We're right in line with the drive shaft, and coming up on the axle, we can bring this. So the driveline right now is against the frame, and we're about a 1/4 inch that we can move the driveline away from the frame. So we're definitely going to clear a little bit. It is close, but like I said, if we need to trim just a little bit off of the frame, basically right where this mount is right now, that's not a huge deal. Also, like I previously said, I want to get rid of this. This thing is just hanging way off the front. For one, the steering arm is way too far forward. This drag link is going to be, pointed like that. I don't like it. I want to get rid of that. I picked up a FJ40 steering box. This is actually, these are very strong boxes. This is going to have hydro assist, but the way they swing is really cool too. Like a lot of Toyota boxes swing backwards like this, have the arm coming off this way. This one swings forward. So I'm going to be able to mount the box basically right above the axle. And I can move that up, and being that this axle does have this like bevel right here, it's going to clear no problem. The box is going to mount here, the pivot arm is going to run forward, and I should have enough room to sneak my rod down to the axle. And then this is obviously all going to change. I'm doing high steer arms and high steer, and this rod, usually they move them forward, and I'll have enough room for that. The only issue is it's going to be a little bit tricky for a track bar, because I'm going to have the tie rod, the drag link, and the track bar all in the same spot. So it can be done. I've seen it done. I think I'm going to make it happen. If not, I can always just buy the pickup box that swings backwards, and I can mount the box here and then swing it this way. That is that's in the future. We got to figure that out later on once we actually get links and everything in this thing. But let's do the fun part first. Let's get these 40s on, and you can already see the axle's in the stock location. It almost looks like it's moved way forward. So I don't think I'm gonna move it forward, but I wanna get these 40s on and just see how everything looks, see if we need to move anything anywhere. If not, then we can start building some stuff for this. Holy crap, look at how much bigger these things are than the mini trucks. These things are huge. Pardon my French, but holy shit, guys, this thing is gonna be freaking gnarly. So that's actually a little bit lower than my guesstimation on ride height. I think I had 7 inches between the axle right here and the frame. That's at 4. Let's bump up the lift a little bit. I think it's on the second stop. Right there. We'll go down, lock that. I think that was about where I figured it would be. Yeah, right about 7. And that looks amazing. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we got about 7 inches of from wheel to fender. I was shooting for about 5 to 6 inches of up travel, and then whatever else for down, probably go with a 14-inch coilover, which I need to go through and measure. But I want to get these things on just so I can see where we're sitting, and this thing is going to be gnarly. It's honestly, I thought it was going to be wider. It is obviously super wide, but looks pretty good. And then, like I said, the axle is in the stock location right there, and you can see we have, I mean, probably 10 inches 9 inches of clearance from the tire to the rear fender and the front. If I chop that frame off, like I said, maybe chop 6 inches off, our front of our tire is going to be at the front of the frame. So that is going to be absolutely perfect. I am stoked. This thing, it looks perfect. It's exactly what I was going for. It's kind of hard. Let's close the hood. I think you'll get a better idea of what it'll look like with the hood shut. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, look at that. This is gonna be insane, guys. So I'm stoked. I gotta figure out what to do now as far as work before I get my heim joints. Like I said, those are back ordered. So I'm thinking I want to build the front axle truss, and instead of buying one, I think I'm going to build it. That's why I bought that plasma table. So I think what we're going to do is I want to make it as low profile as possible. I think I have some 3/8 plate. I'm going to basically do 3/8 plate. I'm going to tuck it right to this casting here, and like I said, I'm also going to chop 2 inches out of this casting, and I'm going to run that 3/8 plate down. So let's pull this axle out. Let's cut 2 inches off this casting and then start mocking up a axle truss for it. Cutting this housing is a little nerve-wracking just because you can cut into the axle tube. Now, I don't know why I've never seen anybody recommend this or even mention it. The center section is kind of a cast material. It's actually called nodular iron, and it cuts way different than your mild steel. Obviously, the axle tube is some sort of mild steel, but when you're cutting it, the sparks are way different coming out of the nodular iron. It's kind of like dull and orange, and then as soon as you hit the axle tube, it turns into a bright yellow spark. So you just cut around this until you just start seeing the bright sparks, and that's when you know you're through. Mine worked out perfect. I got a couple little nicks here and there, but obviously you have to cut into that axle tube just to see the spark. So we got scratches here and there, but we got no deep cuts. It turned out really, really nice. So I am gonna weld this. I'm gonna wait though until I get my truss and everything on. We're gonna have to go through and preheat the center section just to make sure that those welds stay in place. So we're gonna worry about that later, but now we are going to start on the axle truss. So I'm basically gonna do a full truss, but it's gonna be as low profile as I can get, especially around the center section. That's where the majority of my clearance issues are going to be. On the other side, not huge deal. I might raise that up, you know, 2, 3, 4 inches, whatever I feel looks good once I start building it. So we're just going to go through, like always, mock this thing up out of cardboard, get ourselves a close enough template. That way we can build a file for the plasma table and start cutting some steel. I think I have some 5/16 plate I'm going to use for the top, and then the sides are just going to be at a 1/4 inch. You don't know how excited I am right now to finally be able to cut over a 1/4 inch. So I ended up swapping back to the hand torch. This piece of shit is giving me so many issues. I am done with it. I ended up buying another machine torch from a different company. That thing is just not working. So I cut these first with that machine torch, and it's got crazy bevel on it. These had so much slag, I literally had to take my sledgehammer and get it busted out of here. You can see all these test cuts. It will not cut over 1/4 inch. No matter what I do, it won't even pierce half. And I swapped to the hand torch. Look at how straight this is. That cut is square. You can't get any straighter than that with a plasma cutter. I mean, there's no bevel at all, and it cut really good. Barely any slag. I was able to just chip it off really quick. 2 seconds, it all came right off. Hit it with a grinder, cleaned it up. The stuff is looking perfect. So now you can see these cut lines. These are for where we got to bend. We're going to bend it over the pumpkin there, and then this side bends down on the far side and weld it to the axle. So let's get this in the press brake. I just didn't know if my little Harbor Freight custom press brake I built over there would bend 3/8. So that's why we did the cut lines. We're going to bend it. It's going to bend easy now, and then we'll just come through, weld, and we'll be done with it. All right, we got this cut out. It cut beautiful, but I completely spaced. I was gonna do some little cutouts and then along the bottom, just so if you get mud or anything inside the truss, you can actually wash it out. So I really don't want to recut this because steel is expensive. So what I think I'm gonna try is I'm gonna slide that back. I haven't moved this. I'm gonna put it back in place here, and it kind of locks in place. There's a little bit of play because of the cut, but I think I can get it close enough. I'm gonna go on my computer, redesign the holes and the cutouts and whatever I want, and then I'm gonna try to line this thing back up and cut it out again. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna try it. Well guys, truss is done, fitting amazing. I'm surprised it didn't really move at all when I welded it. So I'm stoked about that. Now, this thing turned out perfect. It is low profile like I wanted. So that main piece on the tube, over the tube, is up about 2.5 inches. And then the rest kind of tucks around the main center section or the cast section. And it's just low profile enough to where I still have my clearance above the diff and frame clearance. So that's what I wanted. Now I could have just bought one, but you know, then I won't be able to say I made it. So we got it done. I am stoked about it. If you guys like this thing, I will have the DXF files or the plans up on the website if you guys want to build one yourself. Originally, I was going to just try to find a set of plans to use as just a start, just to kind of have the shape for around the pumpkin or whatever, but I couldn't find any. So I figured, hey, it's a great time to make these plans and then sell them to you guys if you guys need one. If you got a plasma table or a laser or anything, you can cut this thing out. Now, it doesn't fit perfect. Obviously, this thing's mocked up with cardboard, so if you get these plans expecting it to be absolutely perfect and no grinding, that's probably not it, but it does fit actually pretty good for what I did for mock-up. So I did do some adjusting on the plans, you know, after I cut it out and fit it, but you can see there's little gaps here and there. I did drop this on the plans all the way down to the perch there, but it's pretty tight fitting all around. I'm gonna weld here on these along the bottoms here, and then I haven't decided. I may do some welding on here just because we do have to heat this up anyway. I want to weld the tube in. I might weld this tube in as well, but like I said, we're gonna have to do welding on it anyway, so I may do a stitch here, a stitch here, and a stitch there, and then maybe on the back side as well. But this thing actually fits. I mean, for mocking it up with cardboard, I would say it's pretty good. I don't have a 3D scanner, so if you had a scanner, it would be perfect. But like I said, cardboard, I think is good enough. Well, anyway, guys, we got lots of more fabrication to do. I want to build my own high steer arms. I bought this plasma table. I don't want to buy anything that I can build. I love building my own stuff. I like making it fit exactly how I want it. Now the steering is gonna be a little bit tricky because we're gonna do high steer, and it's gonna have the main tie rod, it's gonna have the drag link, and then we're gonna have the panhard bar or the track bar as well, right in this, all in the same spot. So it might get a little bit tight. So doing these arms myself, I can dial it in. I can make sure everything is clearing. If I just buy the arms and bolt them on or weld them on, then you're kind of stuck with what you got. So that's the game plan. We got to build arms. I honestly have no idea what we're doing next video. I do want to truss the rear axle as well, and that is something we can do before we throw any of the suspension together. So we got that. We got high steer arms. We got, what else? I don't know, maybe a couple other things we got to build. So frame plates. I want to plate the whole frame from the very front of the frame all the way back. Like, it's probably like 5 feet of frame in the front. I may wait for that just because I want to integrate my steering box mount into that frame plate, and without having the axle and everything underneath. I mean, I guess I could well, I don't know, we'll figure it out. I may do the frame plating as well. So either way, guys, enough rambling along. I'll let you guys get to your day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Why don't you go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.